There are a ton of unique and legendary weapons to get in Fallout 4, but in this video, I will be showing you 12 legendary weapons that you can get very early on in the game that you don't want to miss. But first, Christmas is right around the corner, and if you're looking for a gift for a Fallout fan, check out the link in the pinned comment below. Now let's get right into it. To get the first weapon on this list, head over to Walden Pond. When you get here, look for this drain pipe that you can enter, which will lead you into a raider hideout. After you clear out all of those raiders, make your way to this storage room, and here you will find a bunch of great items, including the Big Jim legendary melee weapon. Now this is a great early game weapon as it can do some good damage, and the perk on it will give you a 20% chance to cripple your target's leg. And on top of that, it is free, and just requires you to take out 4 low-level raiders. So for the price of those 4 raiders, you will get a great legendary weapon and a ton of other items that you can find laying around the area, like consumables, ammo, and crafting resources, which will really help you out during the early game. The next weapon will come from the nearby Drumlin Diner. When you get to the Drumlin Diner for the first time, you will start an encounter where 2 raiders will be arguing with a woman named Trudy inside the diner. And here you can choose to either side with the raiders or Trudy. But if you side with Trudy, she will permanently stay at the Drumlin Diner and turn into a vendor. And she will be selling the legendary General Chow's Revenge sword. This is another great early game melee weapon due to its decent damage and the perk on it, which will make the weapon do 50% more damage to robots. This may not seem that great, but during the early game, robot enemies can be pretty hard to deal with, so that extra damage can be very helpful. To get the next weapon on the list, head over to the Cambridge Police Station. When you get here, you will need to assist the Brotherhood of Steel by helping them defeat a large group of ghouls. After this, you can talk to Paladin Dance, who will ask you for help on a mission at the nearby ArcJet Systems location. And after this short quest, you will be given the legendary Righteous Authority laser rifle. Now this thing is a beast during the early game as it will do a ton of damage, and the perk on it will make it do even more damage if you're using it in VATS. The perk on the Righteous Authority makes the weapon do double damage on critical hits, and it will fill the critical meter 15% faster. So you can get critical hits in faster and they will do double damage, so you can quickly take out difficult enemies. But even outside of VATS, the Righteous Authority will still melt everything you encounter during the early game. To get the next weapon, head over to the Railroad HQ. After agreeing to work with the Railroad, you can talk to Deacon and he will give you a quest called Tradescraft. Now this is a pretty easy side quest that shouldn't take you too long, but at the end of it you will be given one of the best pistols in the game. That pistol will be the legendary Deliverer. This weapon will have a great starting base damage and it will come with a suppressor, but it also uses a very common ammo type. The perk on the Deliverer improves your chances to hit in VATS and also reduces the cost of VATS by 25%, making this an amazing weapon for early game stealth builds and VATS builds. And by completing that Tradescraft side quest, you can also get the next weapon on the list. For this weapon, all you will need to do is go back to the Railroad HQ and talk to Tinker Tom, and he will be selling the Tinker Tom Special. This legendary sniper rifle will come with a scope and a suppressor, which by itself is worth buying in the early game as it will take you a while just to be able to build suppressors for your sniper rifles. But it will also come with a perk that will greatly increase your chances to hit in VATS if you aren't already in combat, but the cost of using VATS will be increased. So this is another great early game weapon for players looking for long range stealth builds or VATS weapons. To get the next weapon on the list, head over to the Diamond City Market and talk to the vendor Arturo. Arturo will be selling the legendary Big Boy Fat Man. Now this weapon will do a ton of damage just like every other Fat Man, but the Big Boy will have a perk on it which will make the weapon fire 2 mini nukes every time you pull the trigger, and that second mini nuke doesn't come from your reserve ammo, so it's technically free. So you will be able to double the damage output of the weapon for free. You can also add the Merv mod to this weapon, which normally makes Fat Man's fire 6 mini nukes. But on the big boy, the Merv will actually fire 12 mini nukes, which will wipe out pretty much everything you encounter in Fallout 4. It will be an expensive weapon, but it's definitely worth it. The next weapon on the list can also be purchased from Arturo. That weapon will be the Old Faithful. The Old Faithful is a legendary laser pistol that works really well with early game stealth builds, due to the perk on it which will make the weapon do double damage if the target is at full health. Combined with the sneak attack damage bonus, you will be able to one-shot pretty much every enemy that you encounter during the early game as long as you're sneaking. The next weapon on the list can be found at the unmarked pump house location, which will be right here on your map to the right of Saugus Ironworks. When you get here, you will need to enter the pump house, and here you will find this small puzzle. By pressing the buttons on this terminal, you will enter a number above the button, and when the right code is entered, the door to the right of you will open. The correct code is 10451. And then in the new room behind the door, you will find the legendary Gainer Revolver. This revolver will have a great starting base damage of 48, and the perk on it will make it set targets on fire, dealing an additional 15 damage. To get the next weapon on the list, head over to the Covenant Settlement. When you get here, talk to the vendor Penny, and she will be selling the legendary Justice shotgun. This is one of very few legendary shotguns in Fallout 4, but it's a great early game choice due to its high damage output and the perk on it, which gives you a chance to stagger your enemy every time you hit them. To get the next weapon on the list, head over to the town of Salem, which will be in the top right corner of the map. When you get here, you will find a man shooting at Mirelurks from his roof, and if you help him defeat 3 Mirelurks, he will let you into his bunker. When you get here, you will have 2 options. You can either do his follow-up side quest, or you can just kill him. Either way, you will get the key to his back room, which you can use on the door in his bunker. And in this locked room, you will find the legendary Reba II sniper rifle. This is another great early game sniper rifle as it will come with a scope, but it will also have a perk on it which will increase the weapon's damage by 50% when fighting Mirelurks and bugs, and you will encounter a lot of bug enemy types during the early portions of the game. The next weapon on the list can be found at Hubris Comics. When you enter this building, take out all of the ghouls, then look for the display case near the door. And inside of this locked display case, you will find the legendary Grog Ax melee weapon. This is one of the best early game melee weapons due to its good starting base damage, and the perk on it which will make the weapon stagger your enemies more when you hit them, and also apply a bleed effect. And the final weapon on this list can be found at Pikmin Gallery. When you get here, you will need to take out all of the raiders in the gallery as you make your way to the secret tunnels underneath the gallery. And here you will find Pikmin being held up by a few more raiders. If you defend Pikmin, he will give you a key to his safe in the first room of the gallery, and in that safe you will find the legendary Pikmin's Blade. This is another amazing legendary melee weapon as it has a fast attack speed, and the perk on it will apply a bleed effect to your target, doing an extra 25 damage. But on top of that, it will also come with a stealth blade which will increase the damage the weapon does when doing sneak attacks. And those are 12 amazing early game legendary weapons that you don't want to miss in Fallout 4. But I would love to know which of these are your favorites in the comments below. Also, I plan on making a ton of videos for Fallout 4 and Skyrim on this channel. So if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to this channel for more. But I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.